Alright, so Bafa weekend has been finished. The season is officially over by a week. Yes, it's taken me a while to do this video, but it is what it is. One thing I will say, congratulations to those that made it to the Bafa finals. You have done something that not a lot of people have been able to do. I'd say probably 90% or 98% of the league have not been able to make it to a final, so congratulations. Okay, so I want to talk about the games that happened. Starting off with Division 2, East Kent Mavericks versus Shropshire Revolution. It was an okay game. Started off very tense. East Kent Mavericks weren't really moving the ball as much, but I feel like once they started to score, well, that's a lie. It didn't get until half time. When it got to after half time, that's when they started to open up and they let down some big scores, that's for sure. They pushed forward and they destroyed Shropshire by 55-14. It was a fun game to watch, especially to kick off the whole Bafa weekend and getting everybody ready for the evening performance from the women's games. And yeah, it was a great victory, and again, congratulations to the East Kent Mavericks on winning Division 2. So we go on to Saturday evening. It was the Birmingham Lions versus the London Warriors women. And this was an amazing game. The women put on an absolute show. It was probably one of the best performances and best games I have watched in a very long time from the women. Back and forth. It was non-stop emotions, non-stop drama, non-stop scoring. Both sides put out an excellent showing. Now, head coach Dee Williams for the London Warriors and head coach Wayne Hill for the Birmingham Lions, they got their team where they needed to be. And looking at how this game was first played in the beginning of the season, where London Warriors came out 60-28. Fact check me if I'm wrong, but 60-28 victory over the Birmingham Lions. A lot of people expected this game to be an absolute whitewash. They expected it to not be entertaining, and that was not the case. It was definitely the right way to end the Saturday night. And of course, a lot of people were complaining about why games are on certain days. There's obviously a reason. So I looked forward to it. I enjoyed it. Got some amazing pictures, as you would be able to see here. It was spectacular. We saw some amazing hits, some amazing tackles by Phoebe Schaefer. She definitely was everywhere on that field. You had Ruth running around, scoring 4 touchdowns in that game as well for the Lions. And then on the Warriors side, you had the amazing runs from Siobhan Walker and Giselle, who ended up becoming MVP for the game. And what can you say? What can you say? It was absolutely amazing. The best representation of the sport, best representation of the women that play this game that we all love and enjoy. And it is great to see the efforts that has been put into the women's division and their first 9v9 finals. It came down to the last seconds. It came down to the last seconds of the game, and Warriors were able to hold on and take their first victory as national champions in the 9v9 competition. Congratulations once again. Now we move on to the Division 1 game. Northumberland Vikings versus Hertfordshire Cheetahs. A tale of two halves, basically. that's basically what it is. It was a tale of two halves. Northumberland Vikings came out strong in the first half. They came out passing that ball, passing the rock, just getting it where they needed to get to. You can see where Bafa threw that one beautiful touchdown pass. You can see the picture right here. But yeah, it was wild. It was a wild that you saw two different showings in two different halves. Walking around the sideline, you can see how the difference were. In the first half, you saw the Viking sideline, it was pumping. It was insane. And then you saw the Cheetahs, it was sort of quiet. It wasn't exciting, they weren't pumped up, they weren't jumping around, they weren't doing their usual stuff that I would see when I went to some of their games this year. Well, in the playoffs. So it was a bit of a shell shock, I think. And then the second half happened. Bear in mind, Vikings had already scored 21 points in the first half. And then you see the second half and Hertfordshire Cheetahs, they took control. They started running the ball a lot more. They started to dominate that front line. Their O-line started to move the D-line, and their running backs were able to get through and started to penetrate. Pause. So the run game for the Cheetahs woke up. The passing game for the Cheetahs was still lacking. It was still lacking as Victory was. The QB was not able to hit the passes right. The passes, they were either low, they were either too high, they were on the ground. It was a really weird outcome. But the two running backs for the Cheetahs showed up and they put on a show for everybody. Vikings were still fighting. They had the lead. They were holding on to that lead. You had DB Walton, who was getting he got an interception. He was balling out. The D-line was doing their job. So it was definitely a very even game. Short field. There was quite a bit of short field for the Cheetahs to make the comeback, especially that pick from Hurst that ran it back, I believe 40 yards to the 20-yard line, where the running back was able to run it in for a quick touchdown. So that game went into overtime. The crowd was loud. Everybody was absolutely in shock at what was going on. It was wonderful. But obviously college rules, so both teams get a chance. And the Vikings had their opportunities. Bafa was not able to get it into the end zone to take that lead, that all-important lead. And then Victory, first down, didn't really get much. Second down, didn't really get much. And then third down, he threw a beautiful pass to the front of the end zone to Jordan Abraham for the victory. And the Cheetahs won the Division 1 title in overtime with a beautiful 20-yard pass by, I believe it was 20 yards. Fact check me on that one, I'm not too sure. But Cheetahs win. Cheetahs won, and congratulations again to the Cheetahs on making it to the Premiership for the first time in their history. And congratulations to the Vikings on being promoted to the Premiership North, where we're going to talk about the two top teams in those divisions. So let's talk about the Manchester Titans and the London Warriors in the National Championship, shall we? Now, this game was definitely the biggest rematch from the 2022 final. It was sort of a determination and a fixture that proves that Manchester Titans had arrived, that they had shown to everybody that they are here to stay, and that is that. The finals was fantastic. Back and forth game between the Warriors and the Titans. It was you score, we score, you score, we score. We had multiple air raid touchdowns, which was really good to see. We had the throw 2 touchdowns, and we saw Sam Bloomfield throw for 5. 5. We also had another hurdle this year by the infamous Joe Nicholson. Not sure, it wasn't completed, but the hurdle, it was there, and you definitely know it was implied. You will see the picture. But in all essence and all honesty, that game was definitely the cream of the crop, the biggest definition of the best 2 teams in the country. They both worked hard for it. They both worked hard to get into that position to be able to play for the national championship. They worked hard all year. They played every team that they had to play, and they dominated. As mad as it is to say, for some people to hear, some people to listen to it, they dominated their divisions. They dominated their season. Yes, Warriors had a hard game against Bristol twice, but they came out on top on the second time where it mattered most. At home, with that 39-36, Manchester Titans ran riot in that North Division. Their closest competition, Edinburgh Wolves, I'd say, and then Tamworth. So at this moment in time, that's where it's going to sit. But what a game. Anyone that didn't tune in, you missed a fantastic game, a fantastic showmanship of 2 top teams in this country. The scoreline was a bit crazy at some point. Mistakes were made. A lot of mistakes were made. It was, for a photographer's side, fantastic coverage, fantastic play. But again, as said prior, Manchester Titans are a team that know how to work, and they know how to run their schemes very, very well. They are a well-drilled team. I have been to a practice of theirs, and it was quite amazing to watch. So I knew that their final game, that they would be 100% ready for it, and they will do everything in their power to win the game. Now on the Warriors side, exact same. I'm 100% sure that they practice as hard as they play. They probably practice even harder than they play. So iron sharpens iron, and they definitely did that this season. Now in the game, there were a few mistakes. There were a couple picks that were thrown. There were a couple fumbles, and that sort of ideally came down to how that game was going to end. Again, the secondary for the Warriors sort of let them down. There was one main opportunity where we saw one of Titans receivers free as a bird in space with no one around him for 10 yards, and he just walked the touchdown in. Now that's not what you wanted to see, but that's what happened, and Manchester exploited that very, very well. But hey, we move on to next year. Potential chance is that Warriors will be in the championship game again next season, and they will potentially get their chance to have their revenge once again. Now, is it going to happen? We don't know, but at this moment in time, Manchester Titans are the 2-time Bafa championships. They went back to back, and they are looking to run it again next year. So all I can say is congratulations to the Manchester Titans on winning and becoming national champions once again, and good luck in Europe next year.